two astronauts, originally scheduled for a straightforward 8-day mission aboard the International Space Station, now face the possibility of being stranded in orbit until early next year. What began as a routine operation has evolved into a high-stakes situation due to mounting safety concerns with Boeing's CST-100 Starliner spacecraft. The unexpected delay has drawn worldwide attention, with many wondering whether Elon Musk might make statements or release data that could further complicate Boeing's already fragile standing in both its aerospace and commercial sectors. NASA, prioritizing crew safety above all else, made the decision to postpone their return to Earth, citing unresolved technical and safety problems with Starliner. As engineers scrambled for solutions, the agency began actively considering SpaceX's Crew Dragon as a backup plan to bring the astronauts home safely. This possibility, while ensuring the crew's well-being, underscored the widening gap between Boeing's troubled Starliner program and SpaceX's proven track record in human spaceflight, signaling a clear shift in industry dynamics. Boeing's Starliner program has faced setbacks since its inception. While SpaceX's rapid rise has redefined U.S. commercial spaceflight, Boeing has struggled with repeated delays, technical malfunctions, and an erosion of trust from NASA and the public. In August 2024, Elon Musk made a pointed comment that aircraft manufacturers would not dictate the future of space any more than car makers control the skies, a remark widely seen as a direct jab at Boeing. His timing was deliberate, coming right after NASA declined to use Starliner for a critical June 2024 docking attempt due to persistent technical faults. What should have been a smooth, predictable mission now teetered on the edge of crisis, with NASA forced to consider the alarming possibility that without SpaceX, the astronauts might need to rely on Russia's space program, a move that would have represented a major step backward for U.S. spaceflight independence. The Starliner's troubled journey began in 2014 when NASA awarded development contracts to both Boeing and SpaceX to create spacecraft capable of ferrying astronauts to the ISS, ending America's reliance on Russian Soyuz missions. Boeing received a generous $4.2 billion in funding, far exceeding the $2.6 billion allocated to SpaceX. Yet, despite this financial advantage, Boeing has still not completed a fully successful crewed mission, while SpaceX has executed 7 successful human flights since 2020. Starliner was envisioned as a next-generation transport vehicle, capable of carrying up to 7 passengers and staying docked at the ISS for up to 7 months. The spacecraft was designed with a reusable crew capsule and a disposable service module, but from the start, it has been plagued with problems ranging from software glitches and faulty parachutes to corroded valves and helium leaks. One of the program's most public embarrassments came in December 2019 when, during a test flight, a critical timing error in the onboard computer caused Starliner to misinterpret its position in the mission sequence. This led to a cascade of incorrect maneuvers and premature fuel burn just 15 minutes after launch, compromising the mission. A joint NASA-Boeing investigation uncovered no fewer than 80 corrective actions needed before the spacecraft could fly again. As Boeing worked through these issues, SpaceX surged ahead, completing crewed tests and cementing its role as NASA's reliable human spaceflight partner. In 2021, Boeing's problems deepened when corrosion was found in over 1,000 propulsion valves, causing another major delay. A glimmer of hope emerged in 2022 when an uncrewed Starliner successfully docked at the ISS, leading NASA to schedule the first crewed flight with veteran astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams. Wilmore, a decorated former Navy combat pilot, and Williams, a trailblazing astronaut and test pilot, were ideal choices to showcase Boeing's long-awaited success. But trouble struck again in 2023 when engineers discovered flaws in the parachute system and nearly a mile of flammable tape inside the spacecraft. These issues had to be addressed before the mission could move forward. In 2024, a planned May launch was delayed due to a faulty oxygen relief valve, and a June attempt was canceled because of a thruster leak. On June 5, 2024, Starliner finally launched with Wilmore and Williams aboard and successfully reached the ISS, but not without drama. Multiple
Boeing's
helium leaks
Starliner
were detected
malfunction
post-launch,
further eroded,
and a last-minute thruster failure almost prevented docking. While the spacecraft eventually connected to the station, NASA's growing safety concerns led them to extend the astronaut stay aboard the ISS, while further evaluations were made. When Boeing failed to assure a safe return capability, NASA seriously considered turning to SpaceX's Crew Dragon for the trip home, extending the mission into 2025. For Boeing, this was more than a logistical setback. It was a symbolic blow. A company that had once built parts of the ISS and played a leading role in the space shuttle era now found itself struggling to deliver on promises it had made a decade earlier. This mission was meant to restore public confidence and prove Boeing still had a place in modern space exploration. Instead, it reignited scrutiny over its ability to compete in a rapidly changing industry. Adding to the company's woes was the shadow of its ongoing commercial aviation troubles, particularly the fallout from the 737 MAX crises, which had already damaged public trust. Each new Starliner malfunction further eroded Boeing's reputation, especially as SpaceX continued to achieve flawless missions. This widening performance gap raised uncomfortable questions for NASA about its dual-provider model for crewed space transport. While relying solely on one company comes with its own risks, SpaceX's dominance and reliability made it increasingly difficult to justify continued investment in Boeing's struggling program. SpaceX's Crew Dragon had already proven itself not just safe and reusable, but adaptable for future missions to the Moon and Mars. Meanwhile, Boeing remained bogged down in repairs and testing, with its program slipping dangerously behind schedule. The consequences of Boeing's struggles go far beyond one mission. They point to a broader shift in the space industry, where agility, innovation, and flawless execution matter more than legacy status. For decades, Boeing represented the pinnacle of American aerospace, with contributions to the Saturn V rockets, the Space Shuttle, and the ISS. But in recent years, the company has been outpaced by younger, more dynamic competitors. The Starliner's problems are not just technical failures. They're symptoms of a deeper inability to adapt to the speed and demands of today's space race. SpaceX, led by Elon Musk, has not only met its contractual milestones but often exceeded them, redefining expectations for reusability, cost efficiency, and mission frequency. Since its first crewed flight in 2020, Crew Dragon has consistently delivered safe and successful missions, earning trust from both NASA and the public. Boeing, despite receiving more funding, has failed to deliver even one incident-free crewed mission. This reality is now being symbolized in the most striking way possible. The very astronauts meant to represent Boeing's return to form may have to come home aboard their competitors' spacecraft. Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, instead of being the faces of Boeing's triumph, have become symbols of its ongoing struggles. Their extended stay aboard the ISS, while scientifically valuable, is ultimately the result of Boeing's inability to inspire confidence in Starliner's safety. NASA is now walking a fine line. Publicly, it must support Boeing to preserve competition and avoid over-reliance on a single provider. Privately, operational reliability will always come first, especially with plans for longer, more dangerous missions to the Moon and Mars under the Artemis program. SpaceX's Starship has already been chosen as the human landing system for future lunar missions, while Boeing was largely excluded from that process. A telling sign of where NASA's trust is shifting. The erosion of Boeing's public image is not limited to space. The lingering impact of the 737 MAX disasters still casts a shadow over the company's engineering culture and management practices. Critics argue Boeing has become complacent, leaning on its historical prestige rather than evolving to meet modern challenges. Meanwhile, SpaceX continues to innovate at a relentless pace, developing next-generation systems like the fully reusable Starship and pushing the boundaries of what commercial space companies can achieve. If Boeing cannot resolve its technical challenges and start delivering safe, consistent performance soon, it risks losing not only NASA contracts but also its position as a major player in the future of human spaceflight. The Starliner program was meant to be a symbol of American aerospace strength and independence, but it now serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of stagnation in an era defined by rapid innovation. For the astronauts awaiting their return, the situation is more than a matter of corporate rivalry. It's about trust, reliability, and survival. The irony is undeniable. The spacecraft that carried them to space may not be the one that brings them home. If they return aboard Crew Dragon, it will be a powerful image of a shifting era in spaceflight, where the future belongs not to the companies with the deepest history, but to those capable of delivering results when it matters most. This unfolding drama is not just about Boeing and SpaceX. It is about the transformation of the entire space industry, from one dominated by traditional government contracts and legacy contractors to one driven by private companies willing to take risks, innovate quickly, and adapt to challenges without years of delay. In that race, Boeing is in danger of being left behind, and the fate of Starliner may very well decide whether it remains part of humanity's journey beyond Earth or fades into aerospace history as a missed opportunity.